Yeah, there's always a lot of polishing involved when you're doing something like this. And something I wanted to note is a lot of the South Bend parts were made on their lathes. And so, when you have like a handle like this, you see that part's, turned nice and round. That was turned in a lathe. You see there's a center drill hole in the end. Well, sometimes you gotta look carefully and it might have been filled by filler, but if you look at the opposite side, you should know that the area it's gonna be in should be obvious. There should be another center drill hole. And you can see right there, it's a little packed with grease and gunk. I dug it out slightly, but that's a center drill hole. So you can mount that in between centers in your lathe in order to polish it. Anytime you can spin something to polish it, it makes your job 100 times easier, believe me. Another common thing, you see, we got another round handle here. There's a center drill hole in the end. Okay. We look at the other end. There's your other center drill hole. So they're really easy again. To mount that between centers in your lathe, you can dog it real easy and spin that to polish up that handle there. These will spin, that's kind of obvious, your ball cranks, a little more difficult. I guess you could spin those if you could pull them apart, I'm not sure how the handles are attached in here. I think they're probably just pressed in. There is no hole on the back side, so I don't know if they peened it or what. I don't try to remove those. I'll just spin this in the lathe and I'll polish what I can polish as it's spinning, and then I'll polish the rest out in a different manner when I go to polish those. So yeah, just a little handy tip. Anytime you can spin something, it makes it a lot easier. That whole counter shaft there was taken down and it was all assembled, and that was mounted in this lathe. See, I didn't have room to use a tailstock. I'd use a steady rest to support it, but I mounted that whole shaft up there in this lathe and spun it to clean up all those pulleys, and it worked beautifully. I'm going to do the same thing to this pulley here too. This is the shaft that's in there now. That's the line shaft, and the line shaft, I don't know if you can see that. I have to put an indicator on it earlier. It's got about 30 thousandths of bend in it, so I'm going to have to try and straighten that out or get a new shaft. Haven't decided yet. Alright, on to the next clip. Well, I thought I'd take a minute here to talk about how things are coming along. As you can see, I've got the compound and the cross slide off, and the cross slide screw. It's all sitting down there right now. And I've just been going around the machine. One of the first things I do when I get an old machine into the shop and start getting ready to tear it down and work on it is I like to walk around the whole machine with, a couple of wrenches and, screwdrivers and things like that, and just start loosening up anything that will loosen up, If you can get it to move a quarter turn, or, even less than that, just break it loose. It gives you a good idea of what's going to give you trouble and what's not. There are a few things that are almost always going to give you trouble. In my experience, one of them is a lot of times getting the apron screws out. For some reason they often get battered up, and that sometimes makes things difficult. If that'll focus there, you can see that one's fairly battered up. That's the worst of the lot. These are all loose now. I've got them all to move, but I'm not ready to drop the apron yet. got a chance to use my big screwdriver, you know, and you want to get that in there. Good fitting screwdriver is key when you're getting out a tough screw like this, especially a large one. I like a little set of these gunsmith screwdrivers, but you know, that's about the biggest one that'll be in there. And those are really nice. But anyhow, I'll take that, and then I'll take usually just a crescent wrench and get it down there as close to the blade as you can, you know. So if you try to do it up here, you're more likely to twist your screwdriver tip or even possibly break it. Really lean into this while you're doing that. Keep that sucker in there. Although if you grind your screwdriver right, it will, you know, basically be almost like a gunsmith, pretty much a gunsmith screwdriver. And break it loose, you know. And that usually works out pretty good. Sometimes you need a little heat, you know. You can go old school, and you've seen me do that in some of my other videos. Or you can just bust out the propane torch for quickies, you know. I just have that for fun. It does work nice. Another thing I like to have close at hand, sorry the video cut out there for a moment, but anyways, as I was saying, I like these little Swiss pattern scribers. But any scriber will work, and it's great for getting in there and digging the gunk out. You know, here's a screw where I've yet to dig the gunk out. You see, it really gets in there, packed in there tough, you know. And just real careful, you know, try not to slip and put a scratch in your ways. And that'll let you dig all the gunk out of there first, so you can even get a screwdriver in there. And you like to come from the other direction here. Just very carefully dig all that stuff out. And see, now I can get a screwdriver in there and try to torque that out of there. So, Swiss pattern scriber, chisel. Just standard old woodworking chisel. And that's good for kind of getting in areas like this. And I already did this, but, you know, just dig the crap out and, you know, kind of feel around and see what you're doing. Good for scraping stuff off of flat surfaces. Like, you know, I got some paint in here. Can very carefully scrape that off. Another scraping tool that I really like, especially for scraping built-up gunk off of flat surfaces, is just a standard window scraper, you know, glass scraper. And you can come in with that and just very gently, you know, get that paint off of there. Somebody got a little too happy with the paintbrush. But as you can see, if I go through and do that really carefully, you will even preserve the scraping marks under it. You won't damage it. Very gently, you want to work with that. So, you know, other areas, you know, you're likely to get problems is usually I like to come in here to these corners of the V-ways, because that's where you get a lot of built-up gunk, and scrape that stuff out. This is also good for when you get things apart, getting in and digging out and clearing out little oil holes, you know. So just those three tools there are really handy, you know, because you got to do usually a good degree of cleaning so you can even find where your fasteners are to get things apart. Like some of these screws weren't even visible. I mean, usually before I do that too, I'll start out and I'll get a rag here soaked in some solvent and just start wiping things off, you know. And you can see too, you can actually brighten your paint up quite a bit by doing that, you know. I've cleaned the front of this somewhat, but the back protrusions here I haven't touched, and you can see very clearly the difference. Also haven't touched the face of the apron. Very dirty over there. And you'll be amazed how much just that little bit of cleaning will brighten the machine up and give it a whole new look. This really does need some paint, and I'm planning to paint it eventually. But I think it'll clean up okay for now, and I'll go ahead and paint it sometime in the next couple of years when I get around to it. I want to get the thing running first and get it making me some parts. And then one of these days I'll tear it down again and get all the paint stripped, you know. Going through it first like this too will make that whole, next time I need to do that, you know, quite a bit easier. I'll show you a little bit here. See how that just brightens right up? I think this is only the second coat of paint that's ever been put on this machine. The original color on these was black. They used Japanning, which was a type of really hard baked on black finish. So anyhow, she's coming along pretty good. Still need to finish getting this all cleaned up. I would have had that done by now, and I need to get a puller on this gear and get that gear off so I can slide this all apart, and probably won't pull the bull gear off. And still got to figure out just how these back gears are attached. There's a couple little set screws down on the bottom of these bosses here, but I think that those are just to set how much tension this has on it. They feel like they're set a little tight too. I'd like to loosen those up somewhat. Alright, well that's where we stand for now. And oh, well, I've got these are the pulleys off of the line shaft that's going to go up there. And you can see the hubs on these are loose. So if I could tighten them up, see, this one's the same, and that one's the same as well. If I can tighten them up, I'll put them back into service for a little while, but these are going to be on the list of things that I need to remake for the lathe. So, alright, so if you enjoy these videos, you know, please like them. Have something to say, have any questions, please leave a comment. And if you'd like to see more, please do subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.